What's up, fam? Welcome back to another exciting edition of Keith Walker Books Reads. Don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. All right, today I'm going to share a poem with you. It is titled Like Any Good Indian Woman. This was written by Tanaya Winder. She's a Native American entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and obviously a poet. This poem came out in her first book, Words Like Love, which was published in 2015. I'll offer analysis of it after I'm done reading. Like any good Indian woman. I pull my brothers from words, stupid engines, shot like bullets. When people ask why my brothers hated school, I say the spirit remembers what it's like to be left behind. When America took children from homes, displaced families with rupture, ripping a child's hand from a mother's to put them in boarding school buildings. My brothers are mourning a loss they try to fix in finding a home in another person. So they travel from reservation to city, singing blues and 49 songs about love. I pull my brothers from cars named after Indians, Navajo, Cherokee, and Tacoma. On a danger-destined road, my brothers are born longing for a way back from relocation and long walks across miles and miles and miles of removal. My brothers search for themselves in unhealthy addictions disguised as makeshift bandages. I pull my brothers from bottles they think answers might be hidden at the bottom of. My brothers stumbled through back alleys looking for a love and laughter that was stolen from them like the land. And when their brown bodies try to find healing and love, other brown bodies cringe at their touch because, like any good Indian woman, our bodies are connected to an earth, still being raped by pipelines forcibly laid down inside all that we hold sacred. And my brothers hold on to their colonial emotional baggage so tightly they think it's gravity. So I pulled my brothers from oceans believing they deserved the hurt so much they nearly drowned themselves in it. And sometimes my brothers knife ancestral grieving onto their wrists, slits to remember the only time we were ever red. Skinned is when blood flows from open wounds America knifed onto our brown skin. Self-love, apply pressure. I pull my brothers from ashes. America tried to burn us, not knowing we were already flame. And these will be the stories I tell my grandchildren when one day they ask me why being a good Indian woman means we burn like phoenix, repeatedly pulling our brothers. All right, so that's that poem. I told you this poem was deep. All right, so as far as the analysis, I guess we'll start with the refrain. She repeatedly says, I pull my brothers. All right, so in this one, I believe she's referencing, encouraging, trying to lift them up, trying to pull them out of a bad situation, because she does mention a lot of bad situations Native Americans find themselves in. As far as brothers, I do believe she's referring to the male population, because a lot of things she references is something specific to the male population. But an argument could be made that she just tries to uplift her Native American people in general. Speaking of Native American, in the title of the poem, she doesn't say like any good Native American woman. She says Indian, and she references, and she uses the word Indian later in the poem. So I can't say that she doesn't want to refer to herself as a Native American, and she prefers the term Indian, but that is something to note. All right, so the first thing she tries to support her people through is harmful words. She mentions stupid engine, and she said they were shot like bullets. Awesome simile, by the way. And she also mentions these Native American boarding schools early on. She says America took children from home, displaced families with rupture, ripping a child's hand from a mother's to put them in boarding school building. So if you didn't know, way back in the day, the white America decided they had these reservations, but they kind of felt like the Native Americans in the reservations were still savages, and the only way to fix them was to colonize them and basically get them to assimilate. So they went into the reservations, and they forcibly removed children. It was not a voluntary thing. They took them, forced them out of their mother's hands, out of the reservation, brought them all the way to the white side of town, and put them in boarding schools. If that's not bad enough, once they left school every day, they had to go live with a foster family who was also white. If that's not bad enough, many of these kids did this for years after years after years, and they literally never went back home. So that happened. She also mentions in that first stanza, they travel from reservation to city singing blues and 49 songs about love. This whole reference to the 49 songs is another thing that white people did to the Native American. I know this poem is going to be full of that. But the 49 songs, they're either called the 49 songs or they're called the courting songs. And they were originally sang by the Kiowa singers, and they would do it before ceremonial dances. But in the 1890s, the U.S. government decided they didn't want them singing these songs, so they literally outlawed Native Americans from singing these songs. It happened. She says she also pulls her brothers from cars named after Indians, Navajo, Cherokee, and Tacoma. We all know that's a thing. We still have. Did we change the Washington? I think we changed the Washington Redskins, so we no longer have a football team, but we still do that. And obviously, the way she references it, naming American products after Native American tribes, obviously that's something that's offensive. She references the miles and miles of removal, how they used to basically move tribes wherever they wanted to move them, miles and miles and miles away from their land to go live in a reservation from here and there. She also says, my brothers search for themselves in unhealthy addictions disguised as makeshift bandages. We all know a bandage is supposed to be something that heals you, but they find unhealthy addictions, which could be alcohol or drugs. She mentions alcohol again. She said, I pull my brothers from bottles they think answers might be hidden at the bottom of. All right, so if you didn't know, the Native American population, even to this day, they still have higher levels of alcoholism than the regular population. So alcoholism is definitely a problem for them. Later in that third stanza, she says, our bodies are connected to an earth still being raped by the pipelines forcibly laid down inside all that we hold sacred. So what she's referencing here are the oil pipelines. So pipelines like the Keystone Pipeline that come up from Canada that deliver oil all the way throughout the United States. When this goes through a desert area, we already know that pipe is going to go straight. And if that pipe has to go through what just happens to be a reservation, we know the history of white America. They're not going to go around a whole reservation just to get this pipe down south. So Native Americans are still dealing with this. We gave them the reservation. This is your land. No, this is your land. Okay, move again. This is your land. Okay, finally, this is your land for real. And then to come back, even like in the 2000s, 2020, and say, okay, yeah, this is your land, but we need to run a pipe through this land. And obviously, that's crazy. She says that this is the land we still hold sacred. So even though this is a reservation that you forced us to, this is now our land. It's now sacred, and we're still. She considers it rape. Later, she says, sometimes my brothers knife ancestral grieving onto their wrist. That's going to reference either self-harm or literal suicide. And she says, and this is a very interesting line. She said, to remember the only time we were ever read. She has a comma there, and then she continues the rest of the line. Skinned is when blood flows from open wounds. But she has these words next to each other, separated by nothing but a comma. Red, skin, which is a reference to another derogatory term, redskins. The last couple lines, the last two stanzas, she says, I pulled my brothers from ashes. America tried to burn us, not knowing we were already flame. And then she says, they asked me why being a good Indian woman means we burn like phoenix. So this poem has a lot of negativity, a lot of depressing tone to it, but in the end, it brings itself back to life, much like a phoenix. So a phoenix is a mythical bird, if you're not sure. And the story behind a phoenix is it has a particular lifespan. And at the end of the phoenix lifespan, it builds a nest and sets itself on fire, but it doesn't die. The phoenix emerges from the fire, and it's bigger and brighter and bolder than new, and it gets to live on for however many years it lives. But then when it gets to the end of its lifespan, it repeats the process. So the phoenix never dies. It just keeps burning on more beautiful. And she said, I pulled my brothers from ashes. America tried to burn us, not knowing we were already flame. So however many times America tried to get rid of Native Americans, they can't do it, is what I believe she means by that line. All right, so I think this poem, obviously, you can probably tell by my tone, I think this poem is an awesome poem. It's got a lot in it, a lot to unpack, which as an English teacher is lovely. All right, I hope you like this video. If so, hit the like button. If you got any comments, let me know what you thought of this analysis. Please post it in the comment section. And if you just stumbled across this channel and you're not subscribed, this would be a great time to hit the subscribe button. I'd love to see you around again. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time.